Hello everybody, Dominomial here, and welcome back to another episode of Super Mario Galaxy 2. Last episode, I described my experience with the Anime Magic Anime Con in Illinois, that shitty fucking state. And yeah, that's it. I did some stars, but they were all pretty boring, which is why I went on a whole tangent. World 6 is pretty boring for most of the stars, except for like the first few in Melting Monster and the last Bowser's area. Even Throwback Galaxy, like as cool as it is, the stars there are pretty boring. So in this episode, we're gonna be doing the last stars in World 6, or some of the last ones, and then we're gonna be doing Bowser maybe. Maybe if I want to do another 45 to 50 minute episode. I'm definitely not going to go past an hour like It Takes Two. Oh, right, this level. This level's kind of cool. Also kind of annoying, though. Yeah, you know the gimmick now. You can only see the level when the lightning strikes. Or when it flashes. And it also goes on a... Are you kidding me? I didn't even touch that bird. What do you mean I touched that bird? What the fuck? I love wonky collision detection. So, yeah. Ooh, the bongos. Huh. That's a little bit concerning. I heard a sound come from my, monitor. My secondary monitor that I'm pointing my Wiimote to, even though I'm looking at this one. And... no. Oh, no. Well, one, fuck this Goomba. You don't deserve to live, Goomba. Okay. Now Yoshi's back in action. Where's the comet medal? There it is. I remembered something funny about the comet medal. Okay, cool. Cool. Grab the coin. Grab the coin. Grab the star. Don't die. I don't know. That was thinking on the beat. So, okay. I know I teased this subject in the last episode, I just didn't want to go right fucking into it because, I needed to develop my thoughts on it. I've been playing Xenoblade 3. Currently in the game, I beat it. I beat the game and now I'm in post-game. I collected the post-game heroes, or like the two major ones that, are, fan service. Actually, before this, I should just put up, like, a big spoiler warning for Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Don't watch this video if you're interested in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, or go to the designated timestamp that I may or may not put. But if I don't, just probably skip the whole video. I don't fucking know why. No, but, like, okay. I'm not going to fucking flat out spoil the game, because that's rude. Although I already kinda did it. But point is, like, I am going to be talking about the game, and I don't really know what could or doesn't count as spoilers. But just to be safe, you might not want to watch this if you're interested in getting that game. But if you haven't gotten that game at this point after like a month it's been out when this video, you know, uploads, just fucking get the game because it's worth it. It's good. If you're interested in it, get it. You don't need to play the first two. Although, if you want to understand the references, I would recommend at least playing 2 first. Because Xenoblade 3 indirectly spoils a lot of shit about Xenoblade 2. Oh, this is the comment. It's just a fucking... Right. You just can't take any hits for, this whole level. Right, and there's no checkpoints. Okay, I remember this comment being stressful for different reasons, and I thought it was gobblegut-related reasons. Nope, it's just endurance reasons. Oh, there is a checkpoint, though. Please give me star bits to fuck with the blue crab. Because when I can fuck with the blue crab, I win. Please, blue crab, stop. I know no other way to deal with that blue crab besides using a star bits deflected and make it shield. So yeah, Xenoblade 3 is a good game. It's really good. It's a really fucking good game with some interesting flaws. Like, and because of those flaws, I don't think it's better than 2. I think 2 is still far superior. And it's about the same level of good as 1. Like, it's just as good as Xenoblade 1, nowhere near as good as Xenoblade 2. But I'm also really biased towards Xenoblade 2, because I played that game at the right time in my life. And I'm just really fond of it for that reason. For personal reasons. So, it could be better than Xenoblade 2, like on a story and writing level, or on a gameplay level. But I don't really give a shit, because 2 is my favorite of all time. So I am biased coming into this. But I do have legitimate critiques about 3 that I think people are overlooking. But let's start off with the good points of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Xenoblade Chronicles 3, it has the most emotional impact out of any Xenoblade game. And that's because the game has a shit ton of cutscenes. Like, looking at the cutscene compilation of Xenoblade 2 compared to 3, Xenoblade 3 has about 8 hours more of cutscenes compared to the entirety of base game Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And if you, like, put in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 base game plus Torna, I mean, it still has, like, several hours over that, because Torna didn't really have a whole lot of cutscenes. So yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has the most emotional impact because while the characters aren't as fun and memorable and lovable as Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and I'll get to that later, I'll explain why I think that is my hypothesis, it still manages to get an emotional impact out of you because the theming of the game is still really dark. Like, the theming of the game is the darkest any Xenoblade game has ever been. And, like, just to put it vaguely, the theming of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is about life, death, and rebirth. Ad infinitum, repetition, recurring, like, eternal recurrence, essentially, from Xenosaga 3. If you don't know what I mean, then don't worry about it. And if you do know what I mean, then you know what I mean. Because Xenoblade 3 literally just fucking takes that same theme from Xenosaga 3 and puts it into, and reuses it in a different sense that maybe makes a bit more sense, but not really. Oh, fuck off! These guys suck. They have weird hitboxes. So, yeah. So yeah, Xenoblade 3 deals with the theme of death, essentially. Death and life, and, like, what to live your life for, and, like, what, like, the future has in store. Like, thing is, it tries to tackle, like, 5 different themes at once, but because of that, it kind of feels like it doesn't tackle any. And by the end of the game, I kind of feel like, okay, that was a game, but I still don't really know what the takeaway message of the game was. Like, what was the point of the protagonist doing this or that? Like, why? And also, like, they tried to make the bad guys sympathetic and, like, have them, like, give them a reason for doing what they did. Or what they are doing, like, in the events of the game. And I'm just thinking, like, okay, they have legitimate reason for doing the stuff that they're doing. So, how is what we're doing, like, better than what they're doing? Like, the only reason why the protagonists, like, why we side with the protagonists is because they don't take any lives in what they do. And even then, that's kind of questionable at points, because, like, their whole modus operandi, like, what they're trying to achieve, it does come at the cost of a lot of lives. Maybe not as much as the bad guys, but, like, you're also still forcing your own ideals upon the whole world. I mean, that's just as bad as the bad guys, even though those ideals probably come with, like, a good thing, good, like, motive behind them. Like, that's still what the bad guys did, and so by the end of the game, I'm just like, that was unsatisfying. I don't know. Like, there's not really a clear good and bad area in the game, and that's okay. That's okay, that can be good storytelling. But it just, like, they place it as, like, oh, these people are the good guys no matter what, and I'm just like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Like, they're good, like, I like them, but, like, I don't know if they're thinking everything through. I think they're just, like, opposing the bad guys because they're opposing the bad guys just because they're bad. Not necessarily on, like, a philosophical or ideological level. I don't know. The theming of the game is cool. Like, okay, the theming of the game is cool sometimes. But other times I just don't get it. And some other times I feel like it's just up its own ass. Like way too much to even see, like, the weird, like, not plot holes necessarily, but just, like, the weird inconsistencies or stupidity of the plot in certain moments. Because, unlike Xenoblade 1 and 2, Xenoblade 3 tries to go for, like, a more subsurface level plot storytelling. Like, you're supposed to look at the subtext of Xenoblade 3, but when the but I don't know. It's just weird. It doesn't really feel right. Like, you're not getting the surface level information needed to really enjoy the game. Okay, that was a weird phrasing. If you're looking at the game purely on the surface level enjoyment level, you're not really getting enough. But if you try and go deeper, you don't even know what the hell you're trying to analyze, because there's like 6 themes going on at once, all of which the game are trying to juggle. And it's like, I don't even know what the game wants me to think anymore. Bad guy's bad, good guy's good, I guess. And even then, not really. It's just weird. I don't know. I don't really care. So, I don't really care about the theming of Xenoblade 3. And you can call me idiotic, like a fucking moron, or just, like, somebody who refuses to analyze the story for, like, what it's worth and only looking at it on surface level. But, like, I don't know. I do like metaphors and, like, deeper stuff in storytelling. Like, I may not be able to catch everything, because part of that is probably due to my aphantasia, maybe. Like, that's what happens in text, like, some of that is due to aphantasia, where I don't quite catch the imagery of shit. But, like... but, like, I do enjoy, like, more deeper understandings and themes of stories. It's just harder for me to catch them than, like, a lot of other people. So yeah, I guess you could say that I'm just being dumb, or just, like, hand-waving, like, the whole point of the story. But honestly, like, I just... But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how to phrase it. Yeah, you just have to kind of play the game for yourself and see what I mean. Because Xenoblade 3 is just, the storytelling I don't think is that amazing. But what the game does do well is establish fun characters. The characters are fun to be around. But for the whole game, and even now, I still think these characters just feel kind of bland compared to 2. And I was thinking, like, okay, like, maybe that's because I'm nostalgic for 2. I really love that game. I played it at the best time in my life when I could have played a game like that. And maybe that's why I love 2 so much more. Like, I'm just really fond of it because of the time of when I played it. All the characters, like, are also really well written in 2, despite the bad voice acting at points. And, like, I don't know, I just like 2, and, like, maybe it's my bias for 2 that's making me think the characters in 3 aren't as good. And I'm like, that's just kind of what I settled on, like, until recently. But then, like, I thought about it some more and more, and, like, why do the characters in 3 feel so empty? Like, they have good moments. All of them have good moments, and, like, all of them have arcs of some kind. Some of them are better than others, of course. That's how all animes are, but, like... what am I missing in Xenoblade 3 to make me truly love these characters? Because I do actually love some of them. Like, one of them I really love is Senna, because her arc is... well... I just like it, because, like, her personality is just, like, standard gym bro. And then, like, she gets a bit more development, like, oh yeah, like, she's not actually that really confident in her life, and she has, like, some, like, trouble with, like, you know, finding her place in the world, and, like, she has a neat dynamic with Lance, and, like, although it does sound like a generic kinda, like, arc, like, it is executed pretty well, and the timing at which, like, Senna gets development in the story is really fucking good, because it's at the lowest point of the hero's journey, or right before that. So it's, like, actually some really good foreshadowing that, like, maybe her, like, unconfidence is warranted, because, like, maybe, like, she doesn't know that, like, what everybody is doing is gonna lead to a good result. Like, what if something bad happens, and then something does happen that's bad? Like, that's actually really good. The timing and the execution of it. Uni has an interesting arc, but I feel like it could have been elaborated on a whole lot more. Like, okay, spoilers for stuff in Xenoblade 3, like, Uni realizes, the, like, first members to realize that, like, everybody else has, like, reincarnated before. Like, they've had previous lives. What's wrong with my... Weird. The nunchuck wasn't working. Weird. That is really strange. So, like, Uni has an interesting arc as she realizes that she's remembering memories that she shouldn't have. But, like, she doesn't really talk to anybody about it, like, never in the story except for, like, 1 or 2 moments. And I'm just like, you do realize that, like, it's okay to have them keep secrets from one another for a while, but if they just don't even fucking mention it except for, like, once or twice casually in the midst of, like, a battle, then it's not really amounting to anything. And the side story that Uni gets doesn't really make things any more interesting. It's just like, oh hey, save this colony. Like, that's it. And what even makes that arc, like, almost worse retroactively is, like, one of the gimmicks of the game is that, like, the characters come in pairs. You have a party of 6, and each of them are paired with one another. And when they, like, they can basically fuse to interlink to basically, like, you can play as a mech for a while. But when they interlink, they, like, share memories and shit. And so when Uni interlinks with the other character, Taion, they share memories. Taion presumably knows what's going on in Uni's head with, like, those memories, and he even confirms it later. Like, oh yeah, like, I've seen those memories. I just haven't said anything about them, and I've shown no concern for Uni whatsoever except for in one cutscene. Like, what the fuck, man? You're an asshole. You're not even concerned about Uni? Like, yeah, sure, like, you gave her some tea once after she remembered, like, that she had different memories. But, like, that's it? You're not gonna try and, like, console her a little bit? Or, like, try and bring the topic up? I mean, okay, maybe she doesn't want to bring the topic up, and that's fine, but, like, you're not gonna... I don't know. Something about it just rubs me the wrong way. Like, I don't think what Taion did was necessarily wrong, because, like, confronting somebody about their past trauma is difficult and something you don't want to do, but also at the same time, like, if it's hurting the team morale and actually, like, impacting shit, then, like, you should worry about it. I don't know, so Taion just seems like an asshole in the party. And, like, I know, like, some friends of a friend are, like, joking, like, oh yeah, Taion's actually evil, and they haven't actually beaten the game yet. He's not. He's just an entity that exists. A non-entity that exists in the party, because Taion is both the smart guy trope and the tsundere at the same time. Which is 2 of my least favorite tropes combined into one character. Because he's a smart guy that doesn't think in emotions. He only has logic and tactics. Like, cool, bro. And then the tsundere part is him admitting that he doesn't have emotions. Or, like, him, like, trying to convince that he doesn't have emotions. And I'm just like, come on, dude. You're just lying to yourself at this point. And, like, you're not even fun to, like... You have some of the most boring dialogue. And you have the most boring arc. Like, okay, sometimes Taion has, like, a few good quips. He's actually really good at giving quips. But otherwise, he doesn't really exist in the group. It's just weird. And I feel kind of the same with Lance, that he doesn't really exist. Because he's just Rhine from Xenoblade 1, but worse. Not as fun. And at the end of the day, the only characters I genuinely love are Uni, Senna, and I'm on and off about Mio. Because Mio starts off really boring in the beginning, but then she gets some development, midway through the game, and the darkest hour of the game is literally the fucking saddest moment in any Xenoblade game. Like, the darkest hour in Xenoblade 3. Like, even though you don't love the characters as much as you do in 2, Xenoblade 3 has the fucking saddest moments in the game. And it's wasted on these characters that don't get as much development as they should. And it just makes me think, like, if they did that kind of stuff with the characters of Xenoblade 2, I would be genuinely fucking sad. Like, really sad. And Xenoblade 2 already had some really sad moments. But Xenoblade 3 had the saddest of them all. I'm just like, I wish I loved these characters more, because if I did, it would have so much more of an impact on me. And it's like, nah, these characters are all just tropes, with some good writing here and there, but they don't really do anything else. I don't know. And the reason why I think these characters aren't as well written as they are in 2 is because of one small change they made to the gameplay. There's no heart-to-hearts in the game. I fucking mean it when I say that probably changed the whole entire character dynamic for Xenoblade 3. It's such a small change, but it's such a big impact on the gameplay and how you see these characters that it's like, how did I not realize that that was the reason why I felt these characters were so bland before? Because, like, heart-to-hearts. If you don't know what heart-to-hearts are in the Xenoblade series, in Xenoblade 1 and 2, and also X, when you reach certain locations in the map, in the world, sometimes you get a heart-to-heart. And heart-to-hearts are between certain characters that you may or may not have in the party that are sometimes based on your affinity with those party members and how well they like each other. But those heart-to-hearts basically add some flavor text between the characters. Like, if you go to, like, a certain area in, like, 1 or 2 where, like, you see, like, where you're on an island, like, over, like, a giant fucking sea of water, like, sometimes the characters will comment, like, oh, wow, that water's really big. Or, like, that lake is really big. Like, the other one will be like, yeah, but, like, that's not as big as my big cock. Or some shit like that. No, not like that. The writing in Xenoblade isn't that immature. Well, no. Xenoblade 2 sometimes has writing that immature, but, But thing is, the heart-to-hearts are small little moments in the game that you stop to watch some dialogue, some text, like, you just scroll through the text, you get, like, some interactions between the characters. Some heart-to-hearts are better than others, but, like, thing is, like, the heart-to-hearts are really important because they add flavor text to the characters, and they're adding, like, contextual dialogue to what you're seeing in the world. Because in Xenoblade 3, since there are no heart-to-hearts, or no, like, genuine, like, real heart-to-hearts, you're not getting any fucking dialogue based off the contextual shit in Xenoblade 3. Like, you're walking all over the place, walking over these cool vistas, seeing them. Like, you see this giant fucking sword in the distance all the time, or, like, sometimes you go on a cliff and see the giant sword in the distance. And it's like, cool, that's a really cool looking sword. And like, you'll, like, see, like, a big landscape, but then it's just, the characters don't comment on it. They don't fucking comment on anything around them. And, like, while, yes, the characters do have some one-liners in battle, they get stale really quickly. They didn't do as much effort in Xenoblade 1 or 2 regarding the one-liners. So, like, you have stale battle quotes that don't really add anything because they get so stale so quickly. Like, by the time you're, like, 2 hours in the game, you've already heard all of them. And you don't have any heart-to-hearts to build any contextual, like, character development on, like, their thoughts on, like, the view or the sights, or, like, they don't have any insights or wisdom to, like, depart, like, regarding, like, metaphors, or, like, any interesting, like, parallels they may have noticed. It's just, they don't add anything to the scene unless they're in a cutscene. And that's why I think the characters in Xenoblade 2 are so good, because so many of the amazing character moments come from, like, the unique battle dialogue you get, like, from the blades and the characters during battle or at the end. And, like every time you play Xenoblade 2, you get unique battle quotes you've never heard before, depending on your setup, which is gonna be different every single time. Xenoblade 3, like, it's just the same, like, 8 battle quotes. Nothing else. It's just so much missed potential with the characters, because the characters are good in the cutscenes. They just don't have anything going for them outside of the cutscenes. So, yeah. That's, like, the biggest reason why I think the characters in Xenoblade 3 are lacking. No heart-to-hearts. And, like, you may be saying, like, oh, but they're just using the same system from Torn to the Golden Country and having the heart-to-hearts at, like, campfires, rest scenes. And then you can choose to view them whenever you want. But then I would retort with, like, that would be the same as me going to the anime con that I talked about last episode. And, like, talking about, like, and not saying anything about it the moment I'm there. Like, or in the moment. That would just be me with my friends, not saying anything about the anime con, talking about different shit. And then suddenly, 2 months later, I'm just like, yeah, that anime con was fun, just randomly, when I didn't mention anything before. Because the thing is, with those, like, rest scenes, those discussion things that you can pick in, like, the fucking, like, menu sometimes at, like, the rest sites, they're not context sensitive. You have to view the context, but then you have to go back to a rest site to talk about them. And sometimes when you're talking about them at a rest site, it just doesn't fucking make sense. Like, you're talking about this context-sensitive, like, super important thing at one, like, that's happening in one area, but then, like, you just go to another random area, like, halfway across the world, and then, you're like, oh, hey, about that thing that we saw, back on the other side of the world. That was kind of weird, wasn't it? Because it doesn't really fucking matter where you're at when you're viewing those things. They have to make them generic, so that you can view them anytime you want. And so they don't really add any interesting character dialogue. They're not really commenting on anything in the context. Or they are, but it's the context that they're not in. It's a context that they remembered from, like, months ago in-game time, and only are just now talking about it when they're halfway across the world. I know it's, like, a really stupid nitpick, but it is a thing that exists, and it really does bug me. Yeah, so that's why I feel like the characters in Xenoblade 3 are not as good as 2, or even 1 for that matter. Because even though 1 didn't have, like, all the really good character writing that 2 had, it still had the heart-to-hearts. It still made the characters feel believable, and they had a reason for working together, besides the fact that they're just obligated to. Like, Xenoblade 1 and 2 had believable character dynamics. Xenoblade 3 does have believable character dynamics in the cutscenes, but outside of them, in-game, I don't believe that Uni and Taion are actually in love. In-game, I don't believe that Sun is actually trying her best to put on a confident face, even though, like, she's actually really unconfident, like, IRL. Or, like, you know, outside of her facade. Like, to me, she's just fucking gym bro girl. in-game. I don't know. I just wish they had heart-to-hearts in that game instead of the stupid talking points. And then, like, what really bugs me is that, like, Xenoblade 3 is getting a whole lot of hype, and it's really popular, and everybody is saying, it's the best Xenoblade game of all time. I'm just thinking, no, it's not. It's not the best Xenoblade game. It's on par with 1. But 1 has the better scenario and just the better storytelling in general. 3 has the best character moments. Moments, not the best characters. Xenoblade 2 has the best characters. What Xenoblade 3 has going for it is the best emotional impact and really good music in cutscenes. But thing is, like, since they have so many more cutscenes in Xenoblade 3, you're interrupted a lot more during the pacing. Like, the pacing is shit in Xenoblade 3. You walk, you cutscene. 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 Xenoblade 2 had that too, but wasn't as big of an issue because you could grind whenever you wanted for, like, affinity charts or, like, side quests or whatever. Xenoblade 3, it doesn't give you a fucking break. Even the side quests have cutscenes. Just like, please, no, stop it with the cutscenes. I just want to mash. Go through the dialogue and just do the cutscene. I don't need... Or do the side quest. I don't need, like, a fucking 3-minute cutscene of this person and his own little, like, fucking, like, stupid, like, problem just to tell me that I need to go kill, like, 5 Armus or something. Like, I just want to go through the dialogue, get the side quest, and then just do the side quest. They put production and budget into the wrong areas in Xenoblade 3, I feel. Oh... And it's just kind of funny now that I think about it, because there's so many cutscenes, and there's like a cutscene in basically every side quest, including the ones that aren't hero quests. So it would make sense if there were cutscenes in hero quests, because like these are side characters, and some of them are really lovable, or likable, or whatever. Like some of the heroes I actually really love. But then you have generic-ass NPC called Boomer, with cutscene of him like fucking playing violin or whatever. And you're like, oh, we gotta find his music. And like, when you're not even in a cutscene, sometimes you have to follow the NPC instead of like just going to the designated location. So not only do you have to go to a designated location and walk there, you can't even walk there fast. You just have to take it slowly and watch this NPC take its sweet-ass time walking to a certain place. Xenoblade 2 had cutscenes in the main story and in the Blade quests. That was it. Xenoblade 1 didn't even have cutscenes for the side quests. You just kind of did them as you played the game and played through the main story. So there weren't like huge chunks of just walk, stop, cutscene, walk, stop, cutscene, walk, stop, cutscene. Like you still had to walk to the cutscene area, but you at least felt like you were playing the game while you were doing it. And I know you can skip the cutscenes, but why would I skip the cutscenes in the voice acting? That would just be rude to the voice actors. And like all the work that was put into it, even if it's work put into the wrong areas. And that's not even talking about the actual gameplay itself. The gameplay is not as fun as 2 by a long shot. It's better than 1. That's not a hard bar to achieve. But, like, it's okay, but it's not amazing. It's not as great. Like, they fixed the combat in the wrong ways, I feel. They made the combat harder to exploit than in 2, so you can't use any of the super cheesy strategies from 2. Like, they exist, but you have to work for them, and you only get them in, like, endgame. Or effectively get them an endgame. But, like, the combat, like, it's trying to combine the combat system of Xenoblade 1 with the combat system of Xenoblade 2 with some extra added flourishes, but it just doesn't really work. Like, you have 6 squishier party members instead of 3 tanky ones. That's fine, whatever. But that also means there's a shit ton of stuff going on screen. And as somebody that's played 2, I'm used to it, but I could understand somebody getting very confused looking at the game. In playing it. I know the credits are playing, and I usually go on a monologue about the Let's Play at this point, but I'm doing that in another episode. So Xenoblade 3 just has the boring combat system from Xenoblade 1, along with the cool combat system of Xenoblade 2, but only half of the cool combat system from Xenoblade 2. You don't get blade combos, you just get the driver combos. And then it has, like, the fusion mechanic, where you can fuse stuff. Like, fuse the arts for fusion arts. You never do that. You don't ever really fucking do that, because while you can come up with some broken combinations, it's just better to pop the arts one at a time, because you get to do more arts, more damage. Like, fusion arts are cool, but, like, the only reason why you'd want to do that is if you want to create, like, an unblockable, like, break art, so that you can basically guarantee that the enemy gets braked. That's about it. Like, I guess there are some other combinations I haven't found, but there aren't really any broken combinations, and it does encourage experimentation, but there's not really a whole lot of interesting stuff to experiment with. And then the Ouroboros, like, interlink mechanic, I just fucking hate it. Because it's like, oh, use fusion arts to level up your Ouroboros thing. No, I never use fusion arts. Fuck you. Fusion arts aren't useful. You just equip the arts you want on both sides that are useful alone, and then you just use them for more damage. And then when you do use Ouroboros, it's not even fun. It's not even fun. The interlink mechanic is just bullshit. It's a panic button for when you're dying. Or when another party member that you're paired with is dying. Like, it serves as a panic button. It doesn't add anything to the combat. It just helps you stall out for the healing or whatever. And it just makes the boss fights feel more unfair and uninteresting because, like, they have certain, like, basically insta-kill moves or, like, massive damage moves. And the only way to prevent yourself from dying is to use the interlink mechanic, which is just, like, why should I use a panic button that makes me invincible for 30 seconds just so that I can stall for healing, when I could be skilled, or you could nerf the boss and not have the move so fucking devastating that I need to use that? I know. That's my problems with the combat. That and also chain attacks suck. They take way too long. Not only do they take way too long, but they also interrupt the battle music. So when you're fighting a unique monster and you have the fucking epic "You Will Know Our Names" thing playing in the background song, it gets interrupted. It also interrupts every special boss theme that plays in the story. So, I don't want to chain attack because I don't want to interrupt the music. But if I don't, I'm gonna die because I need healing, and I need to force my healers to heal. And their arts aren't charged up to heal. Like, God, there's no winning either way, and chain attacks suck.
Thank you so
because
much
they
for
have their own
playing my
unique theme,
game.
and they interrupt the fucking game. Wow, this is a really negative credit sequence. And also, speaking of the music of Xenoblade 3, it's really good, just not as memorable as 2 or 1. There's no, like, the battle themes are good, and some area themes are good, but otherwise, it's not nearly as memorable as Xenoblade 1 and 2, because a lot of the music is more ambience than 1 or 2, and also a lot of the music is in cutscenes. And that's what makes the cutscenes so effective. And also, like, the cutscenes have, like, better choreography than ever before, than 1 or 2. But, I don't know. Maybe I'll turn around on Xenoblade 3. I hope I do. I don't think it's a bad game. I think it's actually really good. It just has flaws that the first 2 didn't have that I wish weren't there. So, yeah, I went on a whole fucking Xenoblade 3 rant. And it's been 40 minutes. So, I hope you enjoyed this episode of me ranting about Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Please play the game though. It is good, even if I ranted about it for 40 minutes about like all the flaws. In the next episode of Super Mario Galaxy 2, I will do the special world. Yeah, I'm only gonna record one more episode in the session, so see ya. Bye. Bye. Bye-bye.